January 2nd, 2025. Ashley Elkins kissed her two boys goodbye and told them she'd be right back. She never came home. 5 days later, her car turned up empty in a parking lot 4 miles away. What happened in between? Surveillance cameras caught everything. And when police finally pieced it together, the truth was more calculated, more cold-blooded than anyone imagined. You are watching DeepCrime TV, where we break down real stories about domestic violence and relationship crimes that shook communities. We don't sugarcoat it, we don't sensationalize it, we just tell you what happened. If you're into true crime that hits close to home, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next case. Ashley Elkins was just 30 years old, a mother to 2 sons, ages 7 and 10. She ran a hairstyling business right from her home in Warren, Michigan. Her family? They were tight. Her mama, Monica, her younger sister, Alexis, the father of her boys, they all stayed connected, stayed involved. Ashley wasn't the type to just disappear without a word. That's what made January 2nd so unusual. That morning, Ashley left her house to run a few errands. Nothing out of the ordinary. She left her boys with her younger sister, told them she wouldn't be long. Around 8 a.m., she pulled up to a 7-Eleven in her silver Malibu. Surveillance caught her parking, walking inside, just a regular Thursday morning. Throughout the morning, Ashley kept in touch with her mama through text messages, sporadic but consistent. Then at 9:06 a.m., Monica sent her daughter a text about a dream she'd had the night before. In the dream, Ashley's car had been stolen. Weird, right? But what came next was even stranger. The response Monica got back was just 2 words. Oh man, that was it. After that, silence. Monica tried to FaceTime her daughter. No answer. She drove to Ashley's house, but her daughter had already left. Hours dragged by with no word. Then another family member got a text from Ashley's phone saying she was heading to a specific beauty supply store. Shortly after that message, the phone went dark, turned off. Later, it powered back on, but there was no communication, no calls, no texts, nothing. The family knew something was wrong. Ashley's sister Alexis pulled up the Find My iPhone app, tracked Ashley's last known location. It pinged at an apartment complex on Pinehurst Street in Roseville, Michigan. And that address? It wasn't random. It belonged to Ashley's ex-boyfriend, 2-year-old DeAndre Booker. Now, Ashley and DeAndre had history. They dated for about a year, and during that time, he became part of the family. He met Ashley's relatives, bonded with them over the holidays. He'd help out with her boys, take them to get haircuts, play ball with them in the park. To Ashley's family, DeAndre seemed like he might be the one. Monica even thought he was going to marry her daughter, but they broke up back in September. And after that breakup, Ashley made a conscious decision to distance herself from him. When DeAndre called, she didn't pick up. When he tried to reach out, she kept her boundaries firm. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Ashley told some family members she believed DeAndre might be following her. That feeling of being watched, being tracked, it wasn't just paranoia. Just 2 days before Ashley went missing, DeAndre pulled something that set off every alarm bell. He tried to trick his way into her house. See, Ashley ran her hair business from home, so she took appointments.
He came to the house. He acted like he was a client, and he made an appointment with her. She was expecting a client. It was him. And they were in the house quiet. She told him to be quiet. He knocked on the front door and the side door, and then he left. And here is 2 days later, she's gone.
Once he was inside, things got tense. They talked quietly. He knocked on the front door, then the side door, then he left. 2 days later, Ashley was gone. So when the family couldn't reach her, and her phone's last location pinged at DeAndre's apartment, they didn't waste time. Monica, Alexis, and the father of Ashley's boys drove out to the Pinehurst Street complex that very evening. They searched the parking lot. Ashley's silver Malibu wasn't there. They knocked on DeAndre's door. No answer. The apartment was quiet. Monica spoke with police that same night. She could only guess why Ashley would have been at DeAndre's place that morning. They weren't together anymore. To her knowledge, they weren't even in contact. But the family had a gut feeling.
I'm telling you, it's not like why she go over there today. I feel like because she has some financial problems, and he used a person like help out. And
the Elkins family had every reason to suspect DeAndre Booker. They'd accepted him, trusted him, and now their daughter, their sister, their mother was missing, and all signs pointed to him. 5 days after Ashley disappeared, her silver Malibu was finally found. It was parked outside an apartment complex near 13 Mile and Little Mac in Roseville, about 4 miles from where DeAndre lived. The keys were left sitting on the seat, just like that. No, Ashley. No explanation. The family was frantic.
I'm very concerned. I'm out here passing out flights and I just got off work. I've been out here all weekend. I am concerned. She's a good person. She's a mother too. I mean, anything outside of that, that's the main focus right there. She has babies. So that's our focus as a family and as a community.
She loves her family, her kids. She would never just disappear for this many days.
Investigators started pulling surveillance footage from every angle they could find. What they discovered painted a horrifying picture. The camera facing DeAndre Booker's apartment complex on Pinehurst Street captured Ashley entering the parking lot that morning. Timestamp showed it clear as day. She was wearing the same outfit from the 7-Eleven orange shirt, black jacket, dark jeans. Ashley walked toward DeAndre's building and disappeared from view. Hours later, just after noon, the same camera caught 2 figures moving toward Ashley's silver Malibu. The male was wearing dark jeans, a black coat, and a hat. That was DeAndre. But the woman with him? Investigators assumed it had to be Ashley. Except something was off. She was wearing completely different clothes. The angle of the camera didn't allow for a clear identification of her face, but the clothing didn't match. The two of them got into the car. There was a pause, a brief exchange. Then the woman got into the driver's seat and they pulled out of the complex, taking a left. The car never returned. So where was Ashley? 2 days after Ashley went missing, DeAndre Booker called the Roseville police with a curious complaint. He told them he suspected someone had broken into his apartment. But here's the thing, he hadn't stayed there the night before. And when officers arrived to investigate, DeAndre didn't even meet them at the door. When the officers got there, they found the door to his unit unlocked and sitting slightly ajar, so they let themselves inside. And what they found? It sent chills down their spines. The apartment had been cleaned. Recently. Thoroughly. The smell of bleach hung heavy in the air, so strong it was almost suffocating. On the sofa, a pair of yellow rubber gloves sat discarded on the cushion. A laptop and headphones were out on the table in plain view, which made the whole break-in story seem ridiculous. Why would a burglar leave electronics behind? But it was the bathroom that made everything click into place. 2 bottles of bleach sat out, one on the counter next to the sink, another on the floor by the bathtub. The shower curtain was missing, completely gone. The plug to the bath drain was sitting in the middle of the tub, and when officers looked closer at the drain itself, they could see small items caught just inside it. One of the responding officers grabbed a pair of tweezers and carefully pulled out what was visible. Remnants of a blood-like substance clung to a few strands of hair. Then they started noticing more. Small spatter stains on the tiles, on the side of the bathtub, on the baseboards, on the floor, even on the back of the bathroom door. The apartment wasn't just cleaned, it was scrubbed down in a desperate attempt to erase evidence of something terrible. Officers sealed off the scene immediately and called for backup. This wasn't a burglary. This was a crime scene. From the bathroom, investigators moved down the hallway. Blood spatter marked the closet door and the walls. In the kitchen, they found a box of heavy-duty garbage bags with a few missing. There was also a second set of lighter, pink-colored bags that seemed to be used throughout the rest of the unit. The kitchen waste bin was empty, but a fresh, heavy-duty garbage bag had been placed inside. A mop showed clear signs of recent use. Later, A forensic team came in and applied luminol solution to the walls and floors. Under the chemical's glow, the extent of the cleanup became horrifyingly clear. The bathroom and hallway lit up like a blueprint of violence. Blood had been everywhere before someone tried to bleach it away. A plumber was called in to take apart the pipes. From the bathtub drain, they pulled out a bullet fragment, one silver hoop-style earring, and a small clump of hair. Underneath the couch, police found a handgun. It was registered to DeAndre Booker. Ashley Elkins had walked into that apartment on the morning of January 2nd. The evidence made it heartbreakingly clear she never left alive. Now, remember that surveillance camera outside DeAndre's building? The same one that caught Ashley arriving that morning? It also captured DeAndre's movements for hours after she entered his apartment, and what it showed was disturbing. At around 3 p.m., DeAndre was seen carrying what looked like a large cardboard box toward a dumpster in the far corner of the parking lot. The camera angle caught him clearly in the upper right of the frame. He walked with purpose, disposed of the box, then headed back inside. By the time darkness fell, his activity ramped up. At 4:11 p.m., a figure was captured crossing the street to the 7-Eleven. From there, the figure returned pushing a shopping cart. Shortly after, he emerged from his building again, this time carrying a pink bag to the dumpster. These trips to various garbage bins around the complex continued for hours, back and forth, back and forth. At 1 a.m., he carried a larger, heavy-duty black garbage bag to the north parking lot, where another dumpster sat. He tossed it in and returned to the building. By 4 a.m., the figure emerged again. This time, he was barely visible, just a silhouette walking along the tree line that separated the Pinehurst complex from the buildings next to it. Again, he carried a large, dark bag toward a dumpster. Then the figure returned to DeAndre's building, no longer carrying the bag. The footage captured just after 4 a.m. was the most disturbing of all. DeAndre came out again, this time with the shopping cart, but it wasn't empty anymore. He pushed it toward the dumpster on the left side of the parking lot, but a fence blocked his path. The camera caught him backtracking with the cart, then pushing it along the walkway to the right, eventually reaching the dumpster at the far left corner of the frame. At this point, his movements were almost entirely swallowed by darkness. But forensic analysts studied the shadows frame by frame. What they saw made their stomachs turn. DeAndre was attempting to lift something heavy from the cart into the dumpster. He struggled with it. The object fell to the ground. He had to pick it up and, with visible effort, finally managed to hoist it inside. Then he appeared to empty more items from the cart into the bin. He stayed at that dumpster for nearly 5 full minutes. It was just before 5 a.m. when he finally walked away. By the time police uncovered all this surveillance footage, garbage collection had already happened. Everything DeAndre had so carefully disposed of in the dead of night was gone, hauled away to a transfer station, then loaded onto another truck bound for a landfill, but traces remained. Police seized the dumpsters and brought in forensic teams to analyze whatever was left inside. At the bottom of one container, they found traces of blood. The samples were tested and came back as a match to Ashley Elkins. Inside DeAndre's apartment, every sample taken from the bathroom, the hallway, and other areas tested positive for Ashley's DNA. The match was overwhelming. Investigators met with Ashley's family and delivered the news no one wanted to hear.
We met with Chief Berlin and we met with multiple deputy chiefs, and they gave us an update on what was found yesterday. What they indicated was there was substantial evidence collected at the home of the ex-boyfriend. They also indicated that based upon that evidence, that Ashley was murdered. They don't have her body at this time. They do have good leads on where her body is. They have a strong suspicion of where she may be.
The boys, 10, 7 years old,
Yes.
won't have a mom anymore.
No, they won't.
What happens next for them?
It's going to take a lot of family. Everyone here is going to take the love and support of the family. They do have their father. They have grandparents. Everyone's going to embrace them and support them. That's actually starting now. The healing starts now.
Investigators learned that trash from the dumpsters at DeAndre's complex was taken to a transfer station on Groesbeck Highway in Roseville. From there, it was loaded onto another truck and hauled to the Pine Tree Acres landfill in Lenox Township. On January 13th, a massive search operation began. Officers from 15 different law enforcement agencies descended on a targeted area of 6.5 acres within the landfill. The total site covered over 370 acres, but investigators narrowed their focus based on the trash pickup schedule and route. For 5 straight days, they combed through garbage 2 inches at a time. The work was painstaking, methodical, and heartbreaking. They were looking for any items connected to the murder: clothing, weapons, personal belongings, and if they were fortunate, Ashley's remains.
Well, we got some objects we are taking back for processing. We're not sure if they're related to the case or not, so we got to do some more work on that. I think we're in the right spot. We just got more work ahead of us.
After a week of searching through tons of trash, the operation ceased. No remains were found. In the days immediately following Ashley's disappearance, investigators had spoken with DeAndre over the phone twice. During those conversations, he told them a story that seemed plausible at first. He said Ashley had come by his apartment on the morning of January 2nd just to talk. Sometimes she did that, he claimed. He said she left his place the same day and that he hadn't heard from her since. When investigators asked if she'd left wearing the same clothing she arrived in, he said yes. When they asked to confirm she left in her silver Malibu, he said yes again. But surveillance footage had already proven both statements were lies. Ashley never left that apartment alive. And her car? It was driven away by someone else entirely. So while the search for Ashley continued, investigators arrested DeAndre Booker for lying to a peace officer. It was a holding charge while they built their murder case. DeAndre was eventually tracked down at a girlfriend's home in Flint. Law enforcement had been able to follow his movements using cameras and phone data starting from January 3rd. At just before 6 a.m., after spending hours disposing of evidence in dumpsters around his complex, an Uber driver picked DeAndre up outside the Motor City pawn shop near his apartment. Surveillance cameras caught him dumping a few more items there before he got into the car. The Uber dropped him off in Flint, where police would find him days later. At the girlfriend's house, investigators found clothing identical to what the figure in the surveillance footage had been wearing. Black coat with a fur-lined hood, dark ripped jeans, a black hat, everything matched. When DeAndre was arrested, investigators also obtained his cell phone along with a search warrant to access its data. And what they found? It painted a chilling picture of premeditation and panic. Starting on December 29th, 2 days before he booked that fake hair appointment to get into Ashley's house, DeAndre had been searching some disturbing things online. He searched 9mm silencer, Roseville, Michigan, and murder out of Rage X. After he tried to see Ashley on December 31st and got turned away, his searches got even darker. Shotgun through pillow. Can you track location when phone is off? And then this one. What happens to trash after it's picked up? Those searches told investigators everything they needed to know. DeAndre had been planning this. But there were also signs that after the murder, DeAndre was trying to figure out how to escape justice. While hiding out at the house in Flint, he searched what to do on the run, how to beat a polygraph, and finally, delete Google history. Too little, too late. DeAndre Booker was arraigned on his initial charges and held on a $250,000 bond. Investigators remained hopeful about finding Ashley.
And do you believe, based on evidence that you have or more that you'll look at, that you will find Ashley?
I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I'd like to go ahead and tell you yes, but it's only if somebody or evidence points to where that happens. Somebody may cooperate in the investigation. Sometimes it takes a little bit, but I'm hopeful.
Can you repeat what was said this morning in regard to the suspect being in a vehicle with a female, I believe, and then came back alone? So did he have help? Can you talk about the relevance of why that was introduced today?
We believe he acted alone. There was a video portion of a second female. It was investigated thoroughly. She was not involved. She was unwitting.
Since his arraignment, DeAndre Booker's court appearances have been nothing short of unhinged. At his preliminary hearing in August 2025, DeAndre at first refused to sit while court was in session. Even as Ashley's mother took the stand to testify, he remained standing in defiance.
Mr. Booker, I was told earlier that you did not want to sit. You can sit if you wish, but if you don't want, you can stand. No response, so with that, you need a question, witness.
Judge, I want to place on the record an objection to the defendant posturing in this manner in an attempt, my opinion, to intimidate witnesses that are going to be testifying against him today. That's the court runs its courtroom the way it sees fit, and I recognize that, but I didn't want to just place it on the record.
By this time, DeAndre's past had come to light. He was a veteran of the U.S. Army, but he'd gone AWOL in 2017 and was later less than honorably discharged. State prosecutors revealed prior counts of larceny and fraud. At the time of his arrest, the 32-year-old was unemployed. Over several days during the preliminary hearing, evidence of his guilt was laid out piece by piece. Surveillance footage, forensic analysis, phone data, witness testimony. But DeAndre? He routinely refused to get dressed or leave his cell to attend the hearing in person. When court staff tried to connect him via video link, he would cover himself with a blanket and refuse to cooperate. When his video feed was unmuted, he could be heard screaming and cursing at the top of his lungs.
DeAndre Booker, can you hear the court?
If judge is asking you, you can hear the
Your Honor, it's obvious to me that Mr. Booker is in the cell. He's not making himself available for visibility purposes. I can let the court know that based upon my conversations and meetings with Mr. Booker.
Just 1 second, please. It's real clear to the court that Mr. Booker is screaming. He's in the jail cell. Rather than just listen to that, I don't know if you can hear us there, but if you would have him muted, please.
That second female in the video? That mystery had been haunting investigators. Who was the woman driving Ashley's car away from DeAndre's apartment complex? Was she an accomplice? Had she helped him? The truth, when it came out, was even more heartbreaking. Her name was Payne Barksdale. She was the adopted daughter of DeAndre Booker's sister. Though less than a decade separated them in age, Payne had grown up adoring the man she viewed as her uncle. He'd been a supportive figure in her young life. After gradually losing touch over the years, the two had only recently reconnected. On the morning of January 2nd, DeAndre called Payne and asked her to do him a favor. Could she come by in the early afternoon and help him move his friend's car?
He called me and he said that he needed his friend's vehicle to be removed from his apartment complex because he didn't want to get in trouble.
Now, his apartment complex, have you ever been there before?
No, that was my first time.
Do you know the address?
No, I do not.
Do you know what city it's in?
Roseville.
So he called you and said he needed help with moving a car, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Okay. It was a coworker. It was a male coworker. He said that he had went to his house. The car wasn't registered, so it didn't have any plates. He had just bought the vehicle. He didn't have a license, and so with me having a license, he wanted me to drive it to his coworker's house. He said the cops was hot in the area, so me having a license, if I was to get pulled over, I wouldn't be in trouble. Okay. So that was.
So at some point on January 2nd of this year, do you go to the defendant's apartment?
Yes, he requested Uber.
Who requested it?
DeAndre requested Uber from me, from my apartment to go to his apartment.
Payne followed DeAndre's directions. He told her the car belonged to a male coworker who had just bought it and didn't have a license. She drove the silver Malibu to an apartment complex that DeAndre claimed was his friend's home, and they left it there. He told her to leave the keys on the seat. Before they called another Uber to leave, DeAndre carried a bag from the car to a nearby dumpster and tossed it in. But DeAndre had one more stop to make. He asked Payne to go with him to a nearby beauty supply store. Surveillance cameras captured the Uber pulling into the store parking lot. Payne got out and went inside while DeAndre stayed in the vehicle. He asked her to pick up a couple of items. Investigators believe this was the moment DeAndre powered Ashley's phone back on. He wanted it to ping at that beauty supply store, not at his apartment. He was trying to create a false trail.
And then he asked me, if you turn the phone off, will anyone still see your location? I said, whatever location the phone was at before the phone was turned off, then yes. And then he asked if him and I could share locations.
So when he asked you this was after you were at Kelly Beauty with the defendant, correct?
Yes.
State prosecutors presented over 200 pieces of evidence during the preliminary hearing. The volume of information was staggering. Given how much material needed to be reviewed, Judge Bodker agreed with the defense's request to extend a ruling until full court transcripts and every piece of evidence could be thoroughly examined. That process is expected to take several months. At that time, further arguments will be presented before a decision is made about whether DeAndre Booker will proceed to trial. For Ashley Elkins' family, the investigation had provided many answers, but not complete closure. The question still lingered: what could have caused the rage DeAndre referenced in his online searches days before Ashley disappeared? What motive could he possibly have had to take his ex-girlfriend away from her children?
Can you describe their relationship? Have you been around them when they were?
Yeah, he was around my whole family. When I say I thought he was the one who was going to marry her, he was good to her kids. He played ball with them. He took me to haircuts. He was there. He was always at my house. I cooked. He was part of the family. So I'm just really shook that he would do something like this. But we accepted him. We accepted you in our family. Mm-hmm. You met her grandmother, you met her aunt, you met all her father's side of the family. You were good to those boys. You know, you didn't think that how it would affect those boys, the ones you got their haircut, the ones you kept sometimes when she had to run errands, the ones you played ball with, the ones you took to the park. You didn't care about them.
Ashley Elkins was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. She built a business from her home so she could stay close to her sons. She loved her family. She protected her boundaries. And when she tried to walk away from a relationship that no longer served her, it cost her everything. Her 2 boys, ages 7 and 10, will grow up without their mother. They'll carry the weight of her absence for the rest of their lives. And the man who took her from them, he was someone they trusted. Someone who played ball with them, took them for haircuts, showed up at family dinners. Domestic violence doesn't always announce itself with bruises and broken bones. Sometimes it hides behind smiles and holiday gatherings. Sometimes it waits until you say no, until you set a boundary, until you walk away, and that's when it shows its true face. As of now, Ashley Elkins has not been found. Her family continues to search for answers, for closure, for justice. And somewhere out there, 2 little boys are learning to live in a world without their mama.